Hi guys, and welcome to part 60 of Skyrim Mod Sanctuary. I have an interesting mix of mods to show you today, and I'm going to get straight to it. So let's talk about skeletons. As far as I am aware, the skeleton has been in the Elder Scrolls games since the start. I know it's been in since Daggerfall, and obviously I remember them well in Morrowind and in the Oblivion game as well. They come in a variety of types, so to speak. You will find the warrior types, some will have swords, some will have axes, some will even have great big double-handed weapons. There are of course the skeleton archers and even skeleton casters. And so with all this variety, the one thing that seems to be missing are any non-human skeletons. And that is where the Beast Skeletons mod comes in. It adds skeletons for all the non-human races. This includes the beast races, for example the Orc skeleton, the Khajiit skeleton, and of course the Argonian skeleton. And since version 5 there have also been elf skeletons. So I suppose you could argue that the name of the mod is no longer correct. However, who cares? All of these skeletons are really well done. They look like they've been in the game since the start to me. I have no reason to think they are not lore friendly. I did try to find out if there was some reason why in the Elder Scrolls those races' skeletons could not be animated, and could not find it. There is also a spell added to the game that you can get, and it will allow you to summon skeletons, and it will summon skeletons of the race that you are. So if you are an orc, it will summon orc skeletons, etc. Oh, and don't worry about finding these skeletons all over the place and ruining the immersion a little. They don't. The mod author has placed them in very reasonable places. You won't find many of them. You are still going to find a lot more human skeletons. All around, really well done mod. The next mod I'm going to show you is called Realistic Needs and Diseases. And please be warned beforehand, this is the sort of mod that is aimed at people who like immersion and realism. It is going to add the need to eat, to drink and sleep, and so on. This mod is definitely aimed at the sort of player who enjoys a survival type game, the sort of player who is using Frostfall. In fact, this mod works really well with Frostfall because on top of having to avoid cold and wet, you now have to avoid hunger, thirst, sleep deprivation and so on. It takes the survival aspect of the game just a little bit further. Now there are other mods that do similar things, including the very popular Imp's more complex needs, but this mod is a lot simpler. It has a lot less impact on the way you play, while still making you feel like you're having to do the basic things like sleep, eat, drink, and so on. You can check your state in your spell, your active effects, and for example you can see I am currently slightly thirsty. I am sober, so I have not been drinking. I am peckish, very slightly hungry. And I am not tired, so I do not need sleep. So perhaps a little snack and a little drink is required. Now sometime later, if I check the same thing, you will now notice I am hungry and thirsty. And you will also notice there is a negative effect to the thirst and the hunger. I am slightly tired, but it is not yet having any negative effect on me. I'm still very sober. And obviously to combat the hunger and the thirst, I need to eat. Either some food I've prepared earlier, or if I want, I can use this campfire to cook. Oh, not the campfire, excuse me. The cooking pot to cook some new food. And there are a lot of recipes of which I don't have most of the ingredients. There are a variety of drinks, so water being the most common one, and you can get water at a number of places. The first is at inns. Innkeepers will all sell you water. If you actually have empty bottles, you can ask them to refill those bottles for you, and that is a little cheaper. There is a power that lets you drink from streams if you are stood in water, and also fill your water bottles. Be warned, drinking from a stream or filling your water bottles from streams, the water will not be, well, totally healthy. You do run the risk of getting a disease unless you boil the water first. The same is true for meat. If you eat raw meat without cooking it, obviously, you run a fairly high risk of getting a disease. And diseases are something you should watch out for if you're using this mod, because the disease, if you do not get it cured quickly enough, will progress. It will get more and more severe with time. The mod is configurable. If you go along to the MCM system and find realistic needs, there are a whole host of things you can change, including the rate at which you get hungry. I actually reduced this a little bit so I don't get as hungry or thirsty as fast as normal, so that I don't need to spend as much time feeding myself otherwise. And I find it as a nice balance. But if you want it very severe, so you have to have a more harsh survival experience, you can set that up here. By default, you cannot die of thirst. However, if you want to get really hardcore, you can set it so that you can. And as there are animations when eating food, you can actually turn them off. I haven't actually shown you that, but if I eat some food or drink, say, some herbal tea, there is a nice little animation to show me doing just that. I have been using this mod now for quite some time, and I really enjoy the immersion it adds to my game. It really isn't distracting, believe it or not. I know a lot of people worry that you're going to focus on little details like this way too much, but I actually don't find that to be true. Obviously, this mod is not for everyone. I do appreciate that, but if you are an immersion junkie, this is one to try out. And the last mod I'm going to cover in this video is going to go in a completely different direction to the last one. This mod is going to add something that is a lot of fun. The mod is called Wrath of Nature, the Path of the Druid. And what this mod does is it lets you transform, shapeshift into certain creatures. And each form comes with its own abilities and powers. So for example, Aspect of the Wolf changes you into an ice wolf, and you get the ability to bite. You get a frozen breath spell, and you even get a power that lets you freeze everyone in the nearby neighborhood. Aspect of Tiger, which turns you into a great big flaming tiger who can breathe fire. Or, my personal favourite, make the entire neighbourhood explode with fear. Sorry, with fire and probably fear. Little bit overpowered, maybe, but a lot of fun. Aspect of Bear, which gives you some very severe melee abilities. Or Shockwave. And there is an interesting aspect called Aspect of Nature, which turns you into a Spriggan. And this gives you the ability to swarm. And you can even summon little mini Spriggans to help you out. Now in this form, apparently, you heal all friendlies in the neighborhood, which makes it a very good form if you've got a lot of followers. For example, if you're using the UFO mod. And in fact, this is by far my favorite one of the powers. It definitely adds an interesting way to play if you play with a lot of followers. Now, you are not going to get these powers for free. There is a quest, and it is fairly well done, and it definitely makes you feel like you earned the powers. This mod is a great idea and is really well done. If you're playing a druidic type character, this is one you should try out. Or, in fact, if you're just looking for a little bit of fun for a short while, you should try this one out. Definitely an interesting way to play. Installation of these mods is fairly easy as always. If you go along to the file section of the Beast Skeletons mod, at the time of making this video there were two files, the main file and the optional file. Now I contacted the mod author about this and both files are the full mod, so you only need one of them. If you're using Nexus Mod Manager, hit download with Manager on the optional files and activate that inside Nexus Mod Manager. Very easy indeed. Realistic Needs and Disease is very easy to actually install. You download with Manager and activate it. After a few seconds you will get a nice little menu and you need to select the options applicable to your game. For me, I have all three of these DLC. If you have water, you're going to need this patch, unless you've got water plus Dragonborn, in which case you will need this one and this one only. You don't need both of these. The same is true with Pure Waters. Now I do have Pure Waters, but I also have Dawnguard and Dragonborn. So I'm going to select that. And lastly, I have the unofficial Skyrim patch, so I'm going to need this. If you are using the Drinking Fountains of Skyrim mod, obviously, you will need to select this one as well. Once you've got the options selected, hit finish. Obviously, with this mod, you're going to have to make sure that the patches come below their relevant master files. So, for example, for me, the RND Pure Waters patch needs to come after the Pure Waters ESP file. And the same for any other patches that you've installed. So, the unofficial Skyrim patch for me needs to come after, well, after all of these. There is an optional file, a patch pack for some other mods. I have not used this, so I can't tell you much about it. However, my guess is it's fairly obvious what to do. One thing to note with regards this mod is that if you want to change the settings, if you want to configure the mod, you are going to need SKSE and SkyUI version 3 or later. It uses the MCM menu and that requires SKSE. You can install the MCM menu without SkyUI if you so wish. See an earlier video I did regarding that. And for Wrath of Nature, just go along to the Nexus page, go to the file section and download with Manager on the latest one. It really is fairly simple. Anyway guys, that's it for this video. We're going to end as always with some screenshots that you guys have posted. If you want to post screenshots, I will leave a link down below. You're more than welcome to post them. I try to get as many as I can on each video. They're really great, way better than I could do, so I do appreciate you guys posting those. I hope you found the video helpful and enjoyable. If you did, remember, please click the like button. I always appreciate that. And I look forward to seeing you guys for whichever video you decide to join me for. And until then, as always, have fun.